People have done enormous things, whether piercing the ears or piercing the body and doing absolutely unheard of things, all in the name of religion. And Kabirji today has taken one of that and is hinting at and says, you are shaving off your hair. Take that example. He says, did you understand what its significance was? Chopping something from the root, cutting something from the root. And you have focused on the outer body's manifestation. So he starts, he says, Kabir, man munde aanai. That which needed to be chopped from the foundation was your thinking process. That thinking which is misleading you further and further away from your essence, further and further away from your source. It's putting you on a path that rather than getting you closer is actually taking you further and further away. Now you haven't done anything about that, have you? Because if you had done that, then whether the hair were long, short, and black, white, would that have been important? Because the mind, the thought process would have known. You have focused on the outer. And by focusing on the outer, of course, if you are, we can see even in today's world, those who follow a certain rigid regimen of the religion, they are called fundamental, so they are very rigid. Well, whether they are rigid or not is not the issue. The question the spiritualist is raising, do you understand the meaning of the master when they said something to you? Are you doing just ritualistically? If you have taken an action and not understood why that act is, because the Creator does not care, or the creativity does not care what the action is. It cares what the intent behind the action is. So long as the intention, and we talked about, I gave that example a little bit earlier in the talks, that if what is inside you and what is outside manifestation, if they become the same, you start getting closer to the sainthood. Then your intent may be pure enough, always consistent enough, but once in a while your action may be diverted and you recognize that I didn't mean to, but it happened. And we touched on the historical example of those of you who know that if you remember Dasharatha, when he went for hunting, and in the evening, the whole day he didn't find anything. In the evening he was on his way back and stopped by a small pond and heard the voice of somebody taking water and thought an animal is there drinking the water. Without verifying his assumption, he let the arrow go in the direction of the sound, where the sound was coming from. And as the arrow hit the target, a human cry came out of that. And he was himself stunned, and he goes there and suddenly finds that there is a man who has been hurt with his arrow. And you know that was Sarvana. And the story goes that he was actually there taking the water for his parents, who are both blind. and he has left the parents to get the water for them, and he would not get back with the water. And the Dasharatha, then recognizing the mistake without the intention, he was not intending to kill a human being, but it did happen. And he went to apologize for his mistake and ended up getting the sharab from their parents. And that's a very prominent example when the intention is something else but the act does not match the intention. Such souls are also forgiven because they have recognized the intent. Then there are the third level of souls whose thoughts are seldom pure, seldom to that level, but their actions are always right. Why the actions are right? Well, what would the others say? The society is watching, the law is watching. Have no desire inside to do that. I am not committing the wrong act because I am afraid of the society or I am afraid of the law, or both. My thoughts are not that pure. The reality is that most of the world is controlled from not doing something is because of those two fears. And the whole of the world is actually full of that. All of the institutions, spiritual, religious, so-called temples and mosques and churches and the gurdwaras and all that, they are full of such people. They will be sitting in there on the outer, looking and acting extremely holy and pious and religious, but what's going on inside is anybody's guess. And of course there's a fourth kind whose actions are also impure as well as the thoughts are impure. To them the law gets. And Kabir says, if you are not of the category 1 or 2, where at least the thoughts are there, then you have not actually started on any path, you are just pretending. Why are you pretending? Because you want to look good to the others. Others may tell how holy you are, how pure you are, how knowing you are. And he says, Kabir, man mundaya nahi, kes mundaye ka hai. If your inner isn't touched, touching the outer means what? Kes mundaye ka hai. What is the purpose of this? Did you understand? If there was a master who was walking around with the head shaved off and you thought shaving the head will make you a master, did you understand as to what that was going on? Did you ever inquire? And if you did inquire, did you ever become first that before you acted upon the outer? And Kabir ji is talking exactly about that. He says, Kabir, man mondaya nahi. Kes mundaye ka hai. If the real essence has not been understood, why are you into the ritualism? And then what happens? He says, Jo kish kiya so man kiya. Hands never do anything. Legs never do anything. Eyes never go anywhere. Ear doesn't do anything. The real direction to the karmendriya, to the action, is coming from where? It's coming from your thought. It's coming from your mind. It's coming from your inner self. Your inner self directs your senses, and the senses act according to what's inside. So if now inner says do this and you ignore that message and you do something else, Jo kish kiya so man kiya. Whatever is happening is not happening because of your outer self. Whatever is happening because of your inner. And if you have not paid attention to the inner, then in the outer senses, of course, will look good. Of course, the people give you all the awards and the rewards, and they give you the accolades, and you are great in the eyes of the world. But is that what you want to do? Is that what your ultimate aim is? If that is not the aim, then understand this game. Understand this fallacy. If you cannot reduce the distance between the inner and the outer, you cannot get on that path. That is why every saint was called madman, a crazy person. That's why they were stoned. That's why they were punished. There is a very little difference between a mad person and a saint. To the society, to the outer, they look the same. But inner, there is absolutely no commonality. The madman falls below the intellectual level. He falls below the society. That's why he doesn't become the part of the society, because he has fallen below. Those people are taken to the hospitals for treatment. A saint rises above the society, and that's why he doesn't mix in the society either. Those people are punished. They are killed. They are tortured. They are called madmen. Society does not tolerate anything falling below or anything going beyond. They just want to be together. So what is the definition of a crazy person? It doesn't matter who I'm inside. As I said earlier, all I need to do is take my clothes and run in the street. Suddenly I will start being thrown. People start stoning me. Madman, crazy man. That's it. Why? Because I'm not fitting in the society. Now the same action, if I go to Africa and do that thing, now I'm fitting in the society, I will be perfectly okay. Actually the same. Outer becomes the focus. Nobody says what's inside. And Kabir ji is pointing out what is inside. Pay attention to that. And he builds on that thought. He goes on to say, Kabir Ram na chodiye tan dhan jaye tau jao. Now, isn't that interesting? See, it doesn't matter what happens on the outside. Don't get away, don't get discouraged, don't get pushed away from the inside. Ram na chodiye. No, Ram is not outside. It has only everything to do with the inside, it has nothing to do with the outside. But tan, the body, dhan, the wealth, and the outside, they all belong to the outside. He says, if whatever happens to the outside, don't get focus on that. Stay focused on the inside. Kabir, Ram na chodiye. Don't get away from it, because the problem is that the day, since every kind of relief to the humans have come from outside with the effort, and it has convinced itself that the spirituality, godliness or whatever, that will also come with the effort and will come from outside. The basic fallacy, everything that we have achieved from outside. Whether it was the toys when we were kids, whether it was the education when we were growing up, whether it is the jobs and the livelihood, whether it is the fame, whether it is the stroking of our ego, everything has come from outside. It has led to the belief, a subconscious belief, that if I want to achieve something in the inner world, that will also come from the outside. So we start running out. Go to this, go to that, take these books, study this, study that. Every effort is done on the outside, not recognizing that it has nothing to do with the outside. That's one thing that is not going to come from outside. And Kabir says, remember that. Ram na chodiye. Tan dhan jao to jao. Stay focused on the inner. Why is that? He said, Charan kamal chit vedya rame nam samao. If the thought process chit, the thought that's inside you, vedya, literally, if becomes one with you. Vinya jana, roya jana. Harva, just like a necklace you make and you pass a needle through to put those beads together. That needling, that threading, that's what is Vedya. If his thought process is that way part of you, only then you will actually get a glimpse of what you are missing. Not with the superficial, not with the outer display. The world will be very much impressed by your actions, there's no question about it. And you will be acknowledged and adored and worshipped, and you can get all of those things in the world. But he's saying with such a interesting authority, he's saying, which is a reality. कबीर जो हम जंत बजावते टूट गई सब तार. Beautiful parable, he says. He's saying that the outer remains exactly the same as the energy is pulled away from the body. If you look at the body lying down in a hospital bed, on a deathbed, you look at that body, there is absolutely nothing missing. Same hand, same arm, same everything. Actually, I have attended some of the funerals in this country, and I find that the body lying in the casket actually looks much more lively than while he was alive. They pump up the body, they freshen up, they dress it up. After all of the medical things they have done, they present the body to the crowd. He says, is that what the body was when we say the body is doing, isn't it? So he's bringing that scenery in front of our eyes. He says, is that the body that was doing it? The body is exactly the same. The arms and the legs and the feet, everything exactly the same. So now tell this body to do something. Why isn't this body doing something? Because the arms are there, the legs are there, the head is there, everything is there. Why isn't this body doing something? This was the body which was claiming, and we were saying this body is doing something. Everything is being done by this body. And he brings that scenery in front of our eyes, say no. Say, look, Kabir jo hum jant bajavate. Jant means the instrument. Baja. That saz. He says, the body is an instrument. It was creating music. And it sounded good. And everybody gave the accolades to that body. Jo hum jant bajavate toot gayi sab taar. He says, no, tell me. Tell this body to do something now. Because the energy that was making this happen, that's the one which is gone. The body is still there. And we never understood that secret. We always said, I am moving my hand. Isn't that our common language? I am speaking. I am talking. I am listening. I am sitting, isn't it? Are you? Think about it. Are you sitting? Are you listening? Are you talking? What happens at that moment? Then get up and talk. There is an energy behind it that is doing this. That energy becomes invisible. It stays invisible for the entire life. It only becomes visible when we actually visit a crematorium, a cemetery. He said, Kabir, till that happens, Kabir, जो हम जंत बजावते टूट गई सब तार, जंत बचारा क्या करे चले बजावन हार. That which was actually causing the sound, that the one who was actually playing that instrument, that is what's gone. The instrument is still there. The instrument hasn't gone anywhere yet. the people will bury it or burn it only because it is now useless. That energy which was causing it to move is no more. And he says, can you get focus on that? Can you remember that? Does it make sense to you that you turn back inward and focus on that energy which is causing you to, which is helping you to, which is the source? And if we start focusing, and Kabir says, you will remember when you see that person lying in front of you. Jant bajara kya kare? The instrument, now what to do with the instrument? He says, chale bajavan har. The one which was causing the sound, that energy is gone. Then you will realize that it wasn't the body that was doing it. So why not realize ahead of the time and focus on the energy that is keeping it together? He says, but that is not without a reason. That's not without a cause. I mean, it's beautiful how these things are woven in a continuous thought. What is the root of this? Why is the mankind, why are the humans not focusing on the inner energy? So he's very compassionate. And not that he is being partial. He's telling us what the problem is. Now whether we like to hear it or not, I mean, it might hurt us. He says it's not your fault. You've been listening to the wrong masters. You've been following the wrong gurus. Because these so-called masters, these so-called priests and preachers, they have helped you to build this consciousness this way. They come here, you go to them, and they deliver you these messages. One of the message is that this is all illusion. Isn't it? Maya. It's written in every scripture. So, if this is all illusion, why depend on it? Why bother pay attention to this? Whatever is illusion. Don't gather wealth. Okay, fine. But why are you here? Well, I'm building a temple there. Oh. So you collecting the wealth is okay. But I shouldn't be collecting the wealth. So we see this drama. With these, and we follow this type of illusion we follow absolutely, willingly, smilingly, and we tell others. We just went there, so and so came, and they are doing this hospital, this church, this temple, this, on and on and on. Not realizing that they are actually fulfilling their own desires and egos at the cost of what we are doing. And he talks about them. He says, Kabir Mayan Mundo Tehe Guru Ki. Who is the root cause of all of this? He says these are those so-called preachers, those masters, pseudo-masters, pseudo-coins. On the outer, they have all those signs, the dress, their makeups, and that there are few behind them. They have such a good arrangement between the politician and the preacher. They are absolutely Siamese twins because they both need the power. He needs the power to rule you from the political side, and he needs the power to rule you from the inner side. They both are together. On the surface, they will look contradictory. On the surface, they will be talking against each other. But inside, they are absolutely in collusion with each other. It has been through the history. No doubts at all. And he talks about exactly the same. He says, Kabir Mai Mundo Te Guru Ki. He says, that priest, that preacher is the one who needs to be straightened out. Who? He said, Jate Bharam na jaye. The one who leaves the doubts, if they cannot answer your questions, if they cannot satisfy your curiosity. So what happens? Isn't that going on in today's, it's going on in our own homes, isn't it? When the child says, Mom, Dad, why this? So what do? We have no answer. So what do? We don't go seeking. We don't say, I'm sorry, son, I don't know. We just say, shut up. Don't be disrespectful. How dare you ask this question? And the same will be if you go to a master. I mean, one of the reasons we opened up this forum was that we should be openly able to question it and discuss and compare notes with each other rather than sitting on a podium and somebody lecturing and then you, even afterwards you go to them and say, well, you just said that, I didn't understand this. Could you please spend some time? Either they will not answer or they'll become indignant. How dare you? Or they'll say, wait for the better time when I come around next time. It happened in the life of Buddha that a disciple came to him who had not yet become the disciple and had listened to one of the talks and asked for the time from Buddha to ask a question. So he said, well, Buddha always sits afterwards and it's open discussion, so you can go. So he went to him. He sat down and he said, I have a few questions on the talks that you gave today. And Buddha looked at him and said, I will answer every question that you have. I would like you to stay in the ashram for 3 days. And on the third day, I will answer all the questions that you have. That's the only condition I said. And his cousin brother Anand was sitting right next to him. So he shook him up and said, hey, that's a trick. Ask a question if you want to ask now. That's a trick. Understand him. But, everybody laughed it off. And he said, no, there's no trick. And it was. Because after 3 days staying with him, now Buddha asked him, you want to ask a question? And he said, what question? I don't have a question. That was it. Staying with him, observing him, watching him, being part of that energy and space, the mind quieted down, the questioning mind dropped. The doubts went away. He understood there is nothing to ask, it's only to experience. Experience requires journey. When the blessing comes, it comes. Walk on the journey. And Kabir says, that's what is happening to the so-called gurus. And he's not forgiving about the, he says, in one of the, his Vanis actually, he gives the example. He says, Jay Grahab Putana Brahma Bechari Vidva Kyona Bhai Mehtari. Look how far he's going. He says, Jay Grahab Putana Brahma Bechari. He's talking to the mother. He says, mother hasn't given birth to a son who is seeking to be one with him. Brahma Bichari, who's not pondering over this ultimate. Say, Vidva kyun na bhai mehtari. It would have been better if you had actually lost your husband. Your husband had died. You had become widow. Would it have been better? What's the idea of having a son? And then he goes to the next stage. He says, Jo nar Ram Bhagat nahi sadhi. He says, okay, now you're born. Je nar Ram Bhagat nahi sadhi. Janmat kyun na moh aparadhi. If you are not going to, if you are born anyway, things happen, mistakes happen. If it did happen, he says, would it not have been better if you were actually, if you died right after the birth? What's the idea of increasing weight on the earth? Janmat kyun na moh aparadhi. And he comes to the master, the so-called master. He says, their mother need to be punished, not only them. Kabir, Maya mundo te hai Guru ki. He said that so-called pseudo-masters, they need to be punished. Not only that, the mother need to be punished because they are creating these kind of energies. Jate bharm na jaye. The one who cannot give you the level of understanding, but they give you the ritualism. If somebody was going to give you something, I remember one of the discussions. People started questioning him. He said, why are you doing this? And he said, well, this is a device. I'm going to embarrass you and break you away from all that you have gathered so far. All the self-respect you are carrying around, I am somebody. I'm going to make you let the people laugh at you. Are you willing to be laughed at? Are you willing to be insulted? Are you willing to be kicked out of the so-called society? And if you're not, if you can't pay this much price, forget it. I'm not going to give you anything else. There's nothing I'm going to tell you anything else. First go through this. Now when you step back from it, it's a beautiful device. It's a beautiful device. I'm asked that question all the time by my own friends. While you talk and you say that the hair and the turban and the Sikhs and this are not important, the inner is important, so why are you keeping it? And I'm very honest with them. I don't have the courage yet to be kicked out of the group I was born in, the society I was born in, the people I deal with. I haven't developed the courage yet to declare it and then be shunned by them. I still have a need to be part of them. We do most of these things to belong to a group. But this path belongs to some different group. It has nothing to do with it. And a master and a teacher would not at least give you that level of honesty. They will not come out and honest say, well, we really don't know. This is not our experience. They will not say that. They will just give you a device. And then will give you a blind faith that this will happen. And you keep on spending the entire life doing that. And Kabir is hating that. He says, what happens to, why are these people doing it? He says, there is a problem. They also have a problem. What is their problem? He says, aap dube chao ved mein. And they have read somewhere. Some Vedas, some scriptures, some Granth, they have read and they come and like a parrot they repeat. They have no experience. Hence they don't know what the truth behind it. They read the words without understanding. Understanding comes from experience. It does not come from outside. If you have not seen it, observed it, and paid the price, as they say in this country, I have paid my dues, right? If you have not paid the dues, you will not understand what's being said, how it hurts, how it feels, what is the pleasure of it, what's the pain of it. And he says their problem is, aap dube chaho ved mein, then what will happen to the disciple? Is it chile diye bahai? That the disciple also go the same route. And unless until we can wake up from that fact, then the journey would not go anywhere. We will be just going in circles. And then what happens because of that? He says then we keep on doing the action based on that knowledge, based on those instructions, and this is the end result. Next stanza he says, Kabir jete paap kiye rakhe tale duraye. Now, the word paap needs to be understood. What we think is paap is not what spirituality says paap. We were earlier talking about. It's not the action. It is the intent behind it. And in spirituality, they will tell you that there are the negative energy of the mind, the negative energy of the thoughts, negative karma, they all put together. What is the intent behind it is what matters. So what do? We hide the intent by we show the action. Intent is hidden. Because I see that all the time. I remember as a kid, I used to sing in the festivals. In one of the festivals, an evening we were having a music competition, and there were two parties. Somebody gave a dollar, a rupee at that time, and the other crowd person got up and he gave 5. Now, at that time, we felt very good, so we announced that this one has actually given 5. The other group stood up and they brought 10. And suddenly we started that now. And for a moment it continued, we were building them up, we were collecting money, and I was singing. And my baja was getting filled up with money. So everybody behind us was feeling very good. That today we are going to collect a lot of money. Soon enough it became that they started actually going home and bringing jewelry. When that happened, suddenly everybody became alert that this is now is going to become, they will kill each other. Who can give more? Became an issue. Eventually we had to shut down the entire thing. We had to give everything back. And we literally ran away from them with the fear that if they start fighting, some of us are going to get hurt too. You can see that happening in the churches and the temples and that. Watch how carefully we watch who has given what. And when we give, watch what our inside says. Has somebody noticed it or not? Just watch inside you. See that energy. Is that energy coming or not? Am I giving $1? Am I giving you 5? Am I giving you 10? Is somebody noticing? Or am I noticing somebody else? Observe that energy. But we hide that intent, but we give. Kabir ji is talking about that. He says, Kabir jete paap kiye rakhe tale duraye. We hid it. The intent we hid. That's why he calls it a paap. That's why we call it a negative. Because if it was true, then there was no need to hide it. Right? What do we hide? From what we are embarrassed, isn't it? If there is nothing to embarrass about, why hide it? Why not declare? We don't declare because we are ashamed of it. Any action, and I say that all the time, that if cleanliness is our nature, then does it matter whether guest is coming or not? The kitchen will be clean, the bedroom will be clean, the house will be clean, right? But suddenly somebody calls out, we are coming, and then we are running around. We are telling the kids, come, make your beds, and I'm doing this. divide the work suddenly, put the house in order. What does that tell us? Cleanliness is not our basic nature. Why don't we accept it? But to the others we want to show we are very clean. I mean, this is a common thing. Whenever I will ask my son, make up your bed, and his first question is, who's coming? Somebody coming today? Well, otherwise it's all right. I'm going to be in the same bedroom in the night, so it's only a question of 8 hours. So why make it? Doesn't that tell us something about our inner self? Whether guest comes or not, shouldn't the kitchen be clean? That's what he's saying. I say we hide it. Why we hide it? Because it's negative. If it was not negative, there was no reason to hide it. He says, Kabir, jete paap kiye rakhe tale duraye. We hid it below. He said, but that's okay. You can hide it. From whom are you hiding? From the society. In this dimension, you are hiding, no question about it. And you are successful. It's working. But there is one dimension where you won't be able to hide anything. And he says, Pargat bhai nidhan sab jab puche dharmaraya. He said, no, what will you do? In that dimension, nothing can be hidden. It will all be absolutely clear. And once you understand that, once this becomes your focus, you will find a revolution in the life. Till this hits, till it becomes part of our consciousness, there is no revolution. The revolution happens only when these things start becoming part of our consciousness. And then you start observing yourself. The real observing as to how you are inside does not happen when somebody else tells you. It is when you close the door and there is nobody around you. Then what is the urge? What is the energy from inside? What is the first thing that comes to when you are absolutely alone? Think about it. I mean, I find that all the time when you go drop the friends or the children go to college and you come home from the airport, you just came back and you're alone in the home now. What is the energy? What happens inside? What is that first thing you want to do? That is the time. That is the moment to be with your own self. If you can be with your own self at that moment, your true nature will come up. Now, if you pay attention at that moment, recognize that feeling, that thought, that energy, you can deal with it, if you are honest enough. But what happens? We normally don't do that. So then what we do? We pick up the phone and call somebody. Or we go to the video store and rent a movie. Or we turn on the television. We make the mind busy with something totally unrelated. Why are we doing this? Because there is an energy coming and we don't want to face it. My real self is coming out. Certain pressure has been released. I'm certainly by myself. Kabir says that that energy is only hidden from the outer. That energy will not be hidden from that self, that higher self. So if you can start recognizing that, believe me, you don't have to do anything about it. Anybody who tells you, do this yoga, do this mantra, do this chanting, and do this, that absolutely is again giving you another device to unburden. No, on the contrary. At that moment, you just want to be the observer. Just watch that energy. Feel the pressure. Feel those thoughts coming up. Whether those thoughts are of loneliness, sadness, exuberance, whether this is saying go pour a drink, whether saying go pick a chocolate and eat it. Observe that. See what is there. Just be with that thought. Don't act on it. Don't do anything with that. Just see that thought. And accept it. Acknowledge it. This is you. That is inner coming out. Let it come out. Become comfortable with it and you will find a revolution taking place in your life. A sudden change. After that you will find how it lets go. That hold it had on you like a mechanical robot when we were acting and reacting to all these things. You have break on that pattern once. And if you continue on that, you'll surprise how quick the changes inside come. And that's the thought Kabir is basically hammering. It says, Kabir, har ka simran chhad ke palyo bahut kutumb. And that is the byproduct of. The first shloka says, Pargat bhai nidhan sab jab puche dharmaray. He says, you have been hiding your actions underneath. And what happened in those karma? What was the end result? He says, this is what happened to you. What happens to the mankind? He says, Har ka simran chhad ke palyo bahut kutumb. Kutumb does not mean the wife and the family and the children. Kutumb doesn't mean that. Kutumb means anything that you have gathered, anything that you have owned, anything that you have related with, anything that's visible outside. Because you kept on doing this, so the outside energy kept on gathering around you. Okay, so the life went on. You continued on that path, life went on, journey is coming to a conclusion. What happened then? He said, Dhanda karta reh gaya, bhai raya na ban. Stayed busy with those thoughts, continued, and the time came, and that energy which was causing you to do all of that, certainly that energy was pulled back. And now, those very relations that you are creating, no, they are not coming along with you. Nobody is saying that we were in so much love with you that we are going to come along with you. Doesn't happen. Kabir, har ka simran chhad ke raat jagavan jaye, sar par hoye ke avtare jaye, apne khaye. So now he is giving, in the next shlokas, next 4 shlokas, he basically hammers that thought. That if you don't wake up now, if you don't pay attention to this, if you keep listening to those pseudo sayings and those preachers and the priests and the masters and the so-called gurus, if you continue on that path, they will keep on giving you different devices. And each device will put you more in touch with the outer and will put a distance between the inner. The next 4 shlokas, he basically hammered that thought. He says, Kabir, har ka simran chhad ke raat jagavan jaye. Isn't that interesting? The path of the spirituality actually is our convenience. We will drop this at the slightest possible excuse. Isn't it? Even in a ritualistic fashion, going to temple, going to church, going to Gurdwara, going to church, going to the mosque, something comes up, okay, well, that's fine. We need to attend to this. Isn't it? The slightest excuse will pull us away from it. It is always, if it can be done without interrupting anything else. Pick up any example, slightest example. I mean, it's mind-boggling when you actually focus on this, that this becomes the absolute last activity. Everything else takes the priority over it. How many of us are willing to swear that I lost so much money, made so many people angry, or this or that, but I stayed on this, regularly. It happens only when it's convenient. And he said that's what's going on. हर का सिमरन छाड़ के रात जगावन जाए. We wouldn't lose the sleep otherwise. But a good drama, good theatre, good party, all other reasons are okay. But spend the night in his thought, in his meditation, in thinking about him, talking about him. How painful, how useless, how tiring. This is a very common question I am asked. Don't you get tired of just jabbering all the time the same thing? Some people complain here and say, well, he repeats so much. And my normal question is, if it has been repeated so much, how much have you remembered? So much repetition, what has it done to you? If you have already heard it, well, I mean, it's the same thing, the same stories he's going to tell again. So why bother? Okay, fine. Have you heard the story? Do you remember it? Did it cause any changes in you? Does it have any impact? And I shared that with you last week also, that if you read any scripture of a master, my source of energy is Guru Granth Sahib, in 1430 pages, every hymn, every line basically says exactly the same thing. Meditate, meditate, meditate. That's it. One word. Nothing else. Different language, different similes, different examples, different time and space. Same message. And I was having this conversation last Sunday in Valley Gurdwara, and they were asking the same thing. It was exactly the same question. I said, one thing I don't understand, why is this everybody, this same thing again and again? We heard it, we're done, move on. Say something else. And I asked him, he was one of the so-called presidents and secretaries and I asked him, how many Gurdwaras in Los Angeles today? He said 13. I said, I would like to meet 13 meditators who do this in Los Angeles. Take me to those. In the last 30 years, you have created 13 institutions. Have you created at least one who have heard the word and started doing something about it? If you have done it, come to me and say, just one, stop saying this. Guru also understood it. Every preacher who is the real master understands the problem of the human mind. The deep-rooted sleep is so deep. To wake it up is exactly like a little child. You want to wake up early in the morning, mother comes and says, get up, school time. Say, yes, mom, and you go to sleep again. Then mom is ready, the breakfast ready, you go back to the child. Get up, the time to get up, yes, mom. She runs to the kitchen and comes back, and child is back asleep again. We are not any different from that dimension. The Saint comes, they say, wake up, we say, yep, we heard it. Go back to sleep. They come again, wake up, yes, I heard it. Go back to sleep. And they keep on saying the same thing. Wake up, wake up. Now what else they can say? When you are asleep, what else they will say? What other words they can use? All they can say is wake up. Now rather than blaming that they are repeating the same word, why don't you wake up? They'll stop. That's exactly what's going on here. He says, Kabir, हर का सिमरन छाड़ के रात जगावन जाए, सर्पन होए के अवतरे जाए अपने खाए. Snake. There are birds and animals on this earth today that they give the birth to their little ones and then they eat them. And he says, you are not doing anything other than that you are killing yourself, you're eating your own self. You're literally, it is a suicide of the soul. You're killing yourself. Why don't you wake up? This night that you're spending, this time that you're spending in pursuing the outer, don't you understand it? I'm telling you that's the end result. You will see it also that is as end result. Don't we have this conversation with our children all the time? Don't do the same mistake that I did. Listen to me. I'm trying to give you the benefit of my life. You say, yeah. How many children hear us? Same frustration every saint has. Actually, the interesting thing is, a scientist has been able to influence far more people than a saint has been. Look around you. A saint has not been able to revolutionize, make the people follow as much as a scientist has been. The very first thing comes up, everybody runs to buy the very first thing. Isn't it? I want the very first one. Every little toy, doesn't matter what it is. Humans run together, they collect it. We go to see the first release of the movie. We go to buy the first car, new model. We go to get the first television. We go everything first. So much pride in that. How many of us wants to be first in this? Very difficult. And he's hammering on that fact. He says, Kabir, har ka simran chhad ke ahoi rakhe nar gadhi hoye ke avtare bhar sahe man char. Now the so-called translators will take the word literally, because he's basically saying har ka simran chhad ke ahoi rakhe nar. Now, actually the word ahoy has been translated somebody else's. That's not what this is. You know the what is that called? How would you translate that? But called fast or right? And there are different level of fast, type of fast. He says that's what is going on. Ahoy means that fast. He says the woman, what does she do? He says she does the fast. Now this ritualist is using as a parable, beautiful parable. He says har ka simran chhad ke ahoy rakhe na. The normal translation has been that you are not in the meditation, but you are running after a woman. That's how it has been translated. Now, ahoy means birth. What is the purpose of that? By you staying hungry, है ना? पति की याद, भूख तो आपने कर ली, उसका कैसा रहेगा? Has it ever happened that you eat and he doesn't have to? Have you ever done it? I will eat twice today, so you stay hungry. How can the reverse be true? I'm going to stay hungry, that way you are going to be benefiting by this. You say, what kind of logic is this? But this is more than 500 years old statement. Do you think Indians have listened to this? Have the fasting stopped? करवा चौथ का है जी, ये दूज का है जी, ये इसका है जी, उसका एक सास के लिए है, एक मर्द के लिए है, एक बच्चे के लिए है. On and on and on. And he says, what kind of logic is this? Now he uses the example, he says, gadhi hoye ke avtare, you know. Now he's not, being rude here. He has used the word jackass, gadha. He's talking about that logic. He says, what kind of logic is this? Isn't that a childish logic? Because in our country, jackass is only used for one purpose, and that is to carry the load. There is no thinking required. There is no logic required. Just put the load on, take it, and he goes. That's it. You say, isn't this the same thing happening? Somebody said, इस birth के रखने से तेरे पति का ये हो जाएगा. And the women have been doing it for centuries, the same thing. Anybody question this? Anybody stop it? Say, how can my going hungry be beneficial to the health of my husband? But nobody questions. I have seen and heard and known the mothers-in-law getting mad with their daughters-in-law because they were not keeping the birth, not keeping the fast. They say, well, she doesn't love her husband anymore. And then the crisis is in the home. The mother-in-law will force the daughter-in-law. Karwa Chauth ka birth hai. Rakhna pade. And it's going on till today. The movies are being made. I see that, that the songs are being sung all day. Good. And he says, what kind of logic is this? Gadhi hoye ke avtare. Bhar sahe man char. तो जैसे वो like the jackass carries the load, bhar, weight, man, शेर मन, मन का मतलब माइंड नहीं, मन पार. जैसे वो 4 मन भार उठा के चल देता है, नो लॉजिक. Same way, the mankind is taking these things. Why? He answered that question. Kabir, my mundo, teh guru ki. See, he's referring to all these shlokas back to that. Say, look, it is the end result of that, listening to that kind of a master, that kind of a preacher, this what has happened to the mankind. Kabir, चतुराई अब घनी हर जप हृदय माहे सूर्य ऊपर खेलना गिरे तथा हर नाहे. So he says, let me tell you, this is not a simple thing. It's not a small thing. It's not easy. It's not that he's saying that everybody can do it and it's easy. It's not simple. He recognizes that. And he doesn't hide that fact. He says, चतुराई अब घनी हर जप हृदय माहे. He says, if this happens, and that word, that memory, that meditation goes deep into you, it's like Suri upar khelana. Suri de chadna. He says, it is like walking on that sword, single-edged sword. Suri upar khelana. It's not an easy thing. Gire tatha harana. He says, once you walk on that path, Farid used to say that. Farida, fakiri dur hai. Jitni lambi khajur hai. The palm tree. Chad jaye the prem ras maaj. Chad jaye the prem ras chakh lai. Gir jaye the chakna chur hai. If you get there, you enjoy the blissfulness. But if you fall, then everything is destroyed. And it is that fear which will hold you back. The fear of falling back. And the reality is a lot more fall back, very few go up. Get there. That is the reason. Last statement for tonight. But he says, if you get there, those who start walking on that path, Kabir, soi mukh dhan hai, ja mukh kahiye Ram, dehi kiski bapuri, vitar hoye gogram. He says, blessed are those who have understood this secret, who have saved themselves from those ritualistic aspects of life, who have not fallen into the trap of the pseudo-masters, pseudo-teachers, those who for their own benefit exploited the others. Blessed are those. They are lucky that they were able to escape it, and with that, what happened? They got on the real path. They started meditating. Jai Mukh Kahiye Ram. In there, the real energy started, Dehi kiski baat hai. The body is the same for everybody. Everybody has that seed. Everybody has that potential. Don't fall into the trap that he was a born. They were the chosen one. That's not true. Everyone is a chosen one. When Jesus said, I am the only begotten Son of my Father, he wasn't talking about I, the Jesus. The Father and the creation. The rest are not bastards. They are also the children of the same Father. He never said that. We interpreted it wrong. What he was saying, one Father and the only begotten Son. What is Son? The creation of the Creator. This is the only creation. And everybody can get back to the kingdom of my Father. Come follow me. If I cannot get to the kingdom of Father, why would he say, come follow me? We never understood that. We said Jesus was the only begotten Son. He was the chosen one. He never said that. He never meant that. Father, the Creator. Son, the creation. And the Holy Spirit. The relationship between the two. The Spirit that goes on in everything. We made a total thing. Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. We made a totally different thing. Kabir is saying exactly, Dehi kiski baap hai? Pavitra hoego, gram. This gram again, he's not talking about the village, he's talking about this body. If the name goes deep into the consciousness, every body, every human vehicle can get to that level, provided you start walking on that path, provided you accept that there is something higher than, provided you realize that the life that is going on would eventually lead to more and more pain and frustration than the ultimate blissfulness.